Hello, my name is Maria Bezubova and you're at my channel Fertilizers Jazz. Here we talk about events, trends, technologies in the world of fertilizers and agriculture. Please subscribe to the channel, put like to this video, and let's jazz! Today we continue the analytical mini-series of quarterly market reviews and forecasts from prominent market analysts. And today we will discuss ammonia market. In order to do this, I am happy to host again a super great guest, Sylvia Traganida, Senior Ammonia Editor at ICIS. I am very glad to welcome you, Sylvia, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Hello, Maria, and hello to all our viewers. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Sylvia, I must say that Q2 for me was one of the most volatile periods in my professional fertilizers life till now, except perhaps only the start of Russia against Ukraine war. Don't you think it was really exciting one? It was so extremely turbulent, and
Yes.
of course we are in commodities, in commodity market, so commodities responded. The most of the response I saw from urea, clearly, because it is the commodity that was the most, let's say, at risk, supply specifically of urea. However, we haven't seen that ammonia reacted similarly, let's say. Ammonia price almost hasn't changed. And why do you think is that? Which factors actually in Q2 were those that were shaping the dynamics of the market?
Yeah, of course, so much has changed in a month, let alone a quarter, especially in this, fast-moving world and fast-moving markets. Of course, yeah. So the main things that happened in the whole fertilizer market, but especially in the ammonia world, is the usual supply and demand scenarios and dynamics. So natural gas prices went up in Europe and they stayed firm. They went down a little bit, but they're still firm. We had natural gas supply issues in Egypt and Iran, even before the Iran-Israel conflict. We also had a few maintenances. So we have the Ma'aden maintenance that started end of May, beginning of June, and that's still ongoing. We're expecting more maintenance in Asia. And then in terms of demand, of course, urea was mostly in demand. So most of the North African, especially producers, focused on urea, but there was some demand actually in Europe from the nitrates, but not much to support the market. And we're still seeing a lack of industrial demand in Asia. So there's a lot of unknowns in this market. But it seems like a volatile time for sure for ammonia.
Yeah, indeed, like for everyone else as well. So let's focus on the supply for a couple of minutes now. So in Q2, let's say the anti-leader in terms of price decrease was Middle East, where price dropped below, I would say, psychological threshold of $300 and was hovering at that level for some long time. But still, supply from the region continued to be robust. You already mentioned that Ma'aden had this turnaround, but still it didn't really influence the supply-demand balance so significantly as I see it. How do you see supply from Middle East in Q3? And do you expect some more maintenances, maybe some major maintenances that might significantly influence this balance or not?
Yeah, I mean, supply from the Middle East, so far, the only issue that there is in the Middle East is the Ma'aden maintenance, which hopefully will finish in July. Of course, we have seen the disruption from the Iran-Israel conflict. So we didn't have product from Iran. There were some disruptions in product in Egypt because of the lack of supply of natural gas from Israel. And also there was the threat of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which would affect shipments from Iran, from Qatar, and the neighboring, regions. So for Q3 in the Middle East, I mean, I'm trying to stay optimistic unless, there's another conflict. Ma'aden will finish its turnaround. Of course, it will need to focus on its contract shipments to catch up. I haven't heard any other maintenance coming up in that region. So I'm expecting Middle East to be okay unless something else, flares up. We're expecting some maintenance in Asia, which might affect buyers in Asia, but also in India. But that's a different story.
I see. I see. Thank you. You mentioned already that this escalation Israel-Iran resulted in stoppage and obviously a loss of a certain amount of production. And how much of export volumes were, let's say, lost because of this conflict, and how in general it influenced the whole balance?
I mean, the exact numbers of the product that was lost are a bit vague. So the main countries that were hit, let's say, were Turkey and India that buy from Iran. So that was one thing, and especially at the time when India needs to buy urgently for phosphates production, and maybe it's running a bit late with their purchases. So they were mostly hit, but also this conflict escalation created a domino effect as well because there was no product coming out from Egypt. Another major producer and exporter to Europe, Algeria, also increased its offers, especially at a time when there is demand in Europe for nitrates, but also just for ammonia, and urea production. So yeah, this domino effect, together with natural gas prices going up in Europe, also pushed European prices up. So it didn't just concentrate on the region. It had ripple effects in other countries and continents as well.
Indeed, indeed. And how do you see a situation of the supply and, let's say, price level from Northern Africa in Q3? Because Egypt is back, at least seems like to be back. Hopefully, it will be fully back on stream with no gas issues ongoing. And Algeria is obviously producing. So, what is your expectation for Northern African supply?
Yeah, I mean, now we're entering the summer season, at least in our part of the world. So this is something that we need to keep an eye on as well, because countries like Egypt sometimes prioritize gas supply to homes for air conditioning. So at the moment, like you say, we haven't seen Egypt return 100% to full production. So I'm hoping that this will happen soon. And then in terms of Algeria, I mean, Algeria has had its issues, its production issues through the year. And at the moment, we're seeing higher offers to Europe, which is where they usually sell to. But we haven't heard any further production issues in Algeria. So I'm hoping that things will be okay in that region, especially for their shipments to Europe that needs to buy.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Let's move to another hemisphere now and discuss situation there a bit. And let's start with the significant producer, which is Trinidad and Tobago. Do you expect any gas curtailments there in Q3? Because in previous years, we saw such things happening regularly, actually. So what is your expectation from supply from there?
Yeah, at the moment, Trinidad seems to be producing as normal as they can. We are not hearing any further natural gas supply curtailments in the short term. There is some talk that maybe there'll be some in August, like you say. But yeah, I think everyone in the market knows, and everyone in the market has learned that with Trinidad, they never produced 100%. So I think people are preparing for that as well. And we have seen in the past further and higher natural gas supply curtailments, and there was some pressure on the market, but I think maybe we will see some curtailments, later in the summer.
Okay, okay, I see. Thank you. What about the US? So one of the significant markets, which is off season now in terms of demand, but in terms of supply, how do you expect US will be acting in Q3?
Exactly. That comes hand in hand, obviously, with Trinidad, and that was going to be my next point. That yeah, at the moment, the US is busy with the summer fill. We have seen some producers announce summer fill prices. Some have already withdrawn their offers because they're so busy with demand. Of course, it will be a busy time for UAN as well in the US, and as a result, a busy time for ammonia. In terms of supply, the big issue and the big question is when will the Gulf Coast ammonia plant return to action, as we have spoken about in the previous quarter. It still continues to be, as of today, it still continues to be not producing. There's no exact time frame on when it will resume production, so I'm hoping it will be sooner rather than later, because their customers and people in the market are waiting for these tons. We have seen this in Morocco, which has an offtake with Gulf Coast Ammonia. They have been in the market recently for spot tons. So yeah, and especially at a time when Europe will need tons, it's a good opportunity for a new producer to fill this gap, and especially at a time when production costs in Europe for ammonia are really high because of the natural gas prices. So yeah, watch the space. That's the most concrete answer I can give.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Thank you. So let's move to the demand side now. And you already mentioned it makes sense to start from the largest and most important global buyer, which is India. Uh, we know that India now is just in the middle of its domestic season, meaning that production of phosphate fertilizers is a very, very important question at the moment. So, how do you see the demand in Q3 from India? How robust do you think it will be?
Of course, like you say, now is the time for India to step back into the market, and we have already seen that. There's a few inquiries in the market for ammonia cargoes for August shipment. They definitely need to buy some ammonia for phosphate production, and I think they are a bit late as well. We have seen not raw material prices go up, like the phosphoric acid price has gone up. But they still need to buy ammonia to produce phosphates domestically. DAP prices are also going up. But like you say, India is a big consumer of fertilizers, and they need to produce for the domestic market, but also to keep the plants busy. Um, India will. I'm sure at the moment there's not much product around for India. Due to the mud and maintenance, due to the Iran issues. Of course, when a product starts coming out of Iran again, India will be prioritized. Then I've mentioned a maintenance scheduled maintenance in Asia, in Indonesia. Parnarea has a scheduled maintenance at the end of July, so they ship to India as well. So yeah, India needs to get its act together and start buying pretty soon. I'm sure we will see prices go up in India as well, for spot and for contract.
Okay, thank you very much. And what about European markets? You already mentioned clearly it's not the hottest season, but still there's preparation starts, let's say, for the season ahead for the producers in Europe and also in Turkey. So how do you see with this still quite high level of natural gas price? It is slipping back, of course, from the peak that was during the peak time of Israel Iran escalation, but still it's quite high. It's around $12 per MMBTU now. So what is your expectation regarding ammonia purchase instead?
Of course, Europe is hotting up as a region for ammonia, and we have seen that. We have seen demand from the nitrate sector. We have seen most of the nitrates producers in Europe increasing their offers. And also, let's not forget that since the 1st of July, the EU has imposed tariffs on Russian fertilizer exports, which includes, of course, urea, phosphates, ammonium nitrate, and all the nitrates. So the European nitrates producers now can, need to step back into the market, and without the competition of Russian product, now is the time for them. And of course, like we've discussed, natural gas prices have gone up, so it's expensive to produce ammonia, and it's expensive to produce nitrates, especially when ammonia imports are few and far in between. But in Europe still needs to buy ammonia, and we're seeing the contract cargoes coming, of course, from the US, from Trinidad, um, but uh, but we'll also see more demand from Europe, and you mentioned as well Turkey. Turkey, for sure, we have seen inquiries there. We have seen offers go up. Of course, it has been hit by the lack of Iranian material so far. But yeah, definitely Turkey is a very busy country. The usual, shipment cargoes are going from Ust-Luga, but we're definitely going to see more demand coming from Turkey.
I see. Thank you. And what do you think will happen finally with the demand for industrial sector? You mentioned that it is still quite low, and we discussed that it is low last, I would say, several quarters already, and it doesn't improve. How do you expect it to develop in Q3? Will we see any changes and support for the market from this segment?
Of course, every time we speak about the industrial sector, I feel like there's a sense of deja vu because yeah, we've been talking about the lack of industrial demand for at least the last year, maybe year and a half, especially in Asia. We're seeing very low demand from acrylonitrile and caprolactam. We're seeing a lot of turnarounds for acrylonitrile producers in Asia. So I've been talking to people in places like Taiwan, Korea, and Malaysia, Indonesia, and it seems that they're worried as well about the lack of industrial demand. Of course, there's nothing they can do, but they're still worried about one of the biggest sectors that consumes ammonia is actually not there. That's why we're seeing Southeast Asia FOB prices going down as well, because the lack of demand. I mean, in terms of how I see the demand, in the future, I'm trying to be optimistic, but I think that in Q3 we'll still see low industrial demand, especially in Asia.
I see. Thank you. And I would like to finalize our nice, insightful discussion as always with something new. I propose to have a couple of blitz questions, blitz answers, which are more personal rather than business related. Because I think that our industry is a very personal industry, and we love to know each other better. So that is the idea why I decided that it is interesting to try this. So my first blitz question to you will be the following. What is that inspires and surprises you the most in fertilizers industry?
That's a very good question, and I think what inspires me is exactly what you mentioned, is the people. In the last 13 years that I've been working in the fertilizer sector, I've met so many interesting people from so many countries, so different to me. So that definitely inspires me. And what surprises me, I think, apart from the people and what I learn about other people and about myself when I travel, is how far and wide fertilizers can go. And I'm always happy and excited when I see, like the logo of a fertilizer company, or a tractor or something to do with fertilizers, or a plant, fertilizer plant. So yeah, that's definitely something that keeps me going and keeps me inspired in this industry.
Cool. Thank you. The second question is also quite interesting as for me. If you can buster one myth about fertilizers itself or fertilizers industry, what would it be?
Um, I mean, yeah, it's a very, transparent business, but I'm sure there's still some myths, out there. Um, One myth, I would like to bust is that maybe fertilizers are, boring, because when I talk to my friends and I talk to them about fertilizers, they roll their eyes. But then I explain to them that everything we eat and everything we consume actually has, fertilizers in it, or it came from a field where fertilizers were on. So yeah, that's one myth for sure. And then the other one would be that the fertilizer industry is dominated by men, which, case in point, it's not. I'm glad to see more women in the industry and more young women. So that's a very good sign, for the future of the industry.
Nice. Yeah, indeed. Fully agree with you. And finally, the last question for today will be the following. How would you explain to your grandma what is your job as an editor in fertilizers industry?
Um, Unfortunately, my grandmother is not with us anymore, but I feel that both my grandparents in Greece would be very happy to know that I'm in the fertilizer industry, because they were both farmers. So I would just, yeah, talk to them about the fertilizers, what I'm doing to contribute to the market, and the fact that I write about supply and demand, and also that everything that I write starts with the farmer on the field. Whether we write about a big, company like Yara or Mosaic, at the end of the day, they sell fertilizers that will end up on a field. So I think that will be something that would make them, happy and proud. So
Definitely. Thank you so much, Sylvia. As always, it was very insightful, very helpful, and fun discussion. Thank you, and see you here in a quarter from now.
thank you very much, Maria, for your time, and thank you to your listeners. And yeah, have a good summer.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. As usually, I will leave all credentials of Sylvia and ICIS in the comments. Please let me know in the comments which other questions related to ammonia market you would like me to uncover, and I will be very glad to do so with Sylvia next time. Please subscribe to the channel, put like to this video, and see you soon.